Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here for my presentation on canola surfactants. Right. So what drives innovation? I guess this is the big question we ask ourselves when we are going to start a new project. And the points I have highlighted here comes from a few years back. So when we started this project were like a few years back, but still these are, let's say, much relevant, very much relevant today. Actually so relevant that probably it's, I won't need to go through one by one and talk about them. I'm sure you all have heard about this many times over. Very quickly, we have a demand for Australian or local sourcing materials, demand for mild and non-toxic ingredients, demand for sustainable surfactants, demand for ethical ingredients, and demand for green and biodegradable products. Now, as I said, I won't go through each of them, but I just want to take a couple of minutes to discuss the very bottom point, the demand for Australian source material or local source raw materials, because I think that this is sometimes overlooked. But in our quest to find the best or most sustainable feedstock, I think that rather than looking for one particular oil or plant that can solve this problem, it's sometimes better to try to diversify and see what makes sense locally in the region. And that's where we started with this project. So being in Australia, an Australian manufacturer, for us, the answer to this question was obvious, and it was Australian canola. Now, canola oil is a major oilseed crop from Australia. It's grown in the higher rainfall, which is like, I put a little map here to highlight the areas where this crop grows in Australia. More importantly is the production, the annual production of oil in Australia. I put here the last 10 years. And, you know, I've talked before about the need of ethical ingredients. And when we started this, we thought, okay, well, we want to do something with canola oil, but does it, like, is going to affect the food industry? You know, canola oil is an edible ingredient. It's mostly used in the food industry. So are we going to affect this the price of the oil or the availability of these edible ingredients by making surfactants, and is it ethical to do it? So I wanted to represent in this graph what would our impact be, and as you can see, I had to use a magnifying glass here. So if we go on and we replace our entire production of imidapropyl betaine and imidapropyl amine oxide, which are the two molecules I'm going to talk about today, and we go on replace them with canola feedstock, you can see here is like very little, around 0.2% of the total oil production from Australia would be affected, which is, you know, like very small, very marginal, to the point which we decided that, yeah, we can go ahead. It's not going to impact in a negative way the food industry. Right, so we have our goal that we have seen in the previous slide, and we found a candidate, like what we think is a good candidate, Australian canola. But how does this fit together? Well, we think it's actually a very good fit. The advantages we found initially for this combination, so canola surfactants, is that they are manufactured in Australia from Australian grown and refined feedstock, which it's very good for us as an Australian manufacturer. We want to keep things local. It's produced from natural and non-GMO canola oil. It meets the demand for sustainable products. And then the last 2 points here are kind of like a bit of a spoiler for what comes ahead in the presentation, but they can be used as a direct replacement for traditional palm or coconut derivatives in most applications. And also there are some interesting properties and some like new characteristics that we found when we were developing the product, which I think can be a very useful tool for the formulators. Now, this kind of like concludes my introduction, and we jump into the technical section of my presentation. Right, so canola imidapropyl amine. this molecule that I put here is the intermediate we needed for to build our canola chemistry. The first roadblock we met is while for palm and coconut, there are a lot of chemicals available. And so it's very easy. You have all the molecules you need to develop whatever product you want. For canola and Australian canola in particular, we couldn't find any intermediate available for us. So what we had to do, we had to develop something new.